Alright, what's up guys? My name is Zack, and today I am driving a 2014 Kia Cadenza Limited. Up front is a 3.3 liter V6, and down below is a 6-speed automatic transmission. Now I am super excited to be driving this Kia Cadenza for two reasons. First of all, I haven't reviewed one here on the channel, so I'm always excited to do that. But the second reason is the fact that the Kia Cadenza was kind of an overlooked car. Even in their best year, they failed to sell more than 10,000. However, I think this car is really well equipped. I think it's a very good car, and I'm excited to share with you why that is. But if you would like to submit your own vehicle and have it reviewed here on the channel, you can head on over to my website, zackpradel.com/submit. It's a quick and easy submission form. It takes under a minute to fill out, and I come out to you. And if you would like to see all my videos weeks or sometimes months in advance, you can head on over to my Patreon for only $5 a month, as well as there's exclusive audio content found on there. But let's get back to that 3.3 liter V6 from Kia. Well, we also saw it in the Kia Stinger that would come a little bit later on. This was kind of their bread and butter upgrade power before they really got into, now the 2.5 liter turbo kind of fills that gap. We also saw this in the Kia Sedona at the time, or what has turned into the Kia Carnival, and I like it. It makes really good power, it makes solid power, and that's all that I need. Like I said, paired to it is an automatic transmission. It's a 6-speed, and I like it. No complaints. This is a little bit of okay reliability from Kia. Not the best, not the worst, but I think it's doing a fine job here today. And last but not least, the Kia Cadenza is front-wheel drive. So how does it feel to drive the Kia Cadenza? Well, it doesn't feel very Kia-y. It actually feels more Hyundai. And as we'll talk about later, this is before Genesis had become a company, and so this is kind of the inkling. This is kind of the before Genesis era. You can tell it drives and feels like a Genesis in here, and we'll talk about that later on, like I said. Visibility is good, steering is relatively light, ride quality is fine. To me, it's a big win. With that stuff out of the way, let's talk about the interior. Well, in front of me, I have a mix of physical and digital gauges. Off to the left is my tachometer, and off to the right is my coolant temperature and fuel, but then I get my digital speedometer in the center, along with some other information that I can swipe through here. This is the very early days of this system from Kia that we still see in their modern products. On the steering wheel, on the left, we have our volume, mute, mode, and phone options. And off to the right, we have our cruise control. This does have adaptive cruise control. Really nice for 2014, and is really nice for a Kia. Pages and selectors below that. Off to the left, we do have a climate control vent, gauge dimmer switch, blind spot monitoring, lane keep assist, and traction control off, as well as our gas cap release and trunk release. Moving on to the door, we have 2 levels of memory seats, power auto folding mirrors, power locks, window locks, and power windows. Moving into the center, we do have our infotainment display. This does have navigation and things like that. This is a couple years before Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. BMW had just gotten it in 2014, so it took a little while for other brands, Kia being one of them. So nothing too interesting there, but here's the backup camera in case you were curious. Down below that, we have our climate controls, which surround an analog clock. Absolutely love the look of that analog clock. Big fan of that. CD player and our radio controls down below as well. Then we have an openable cubby. I really like seeing this. Pretty straightforward, and I like that it offers that clean look when closed. Shifter off to the left. Again, nothing really too interesting here, but off to the right, we do have cup holders, so we will do a big friggin' bottle test. And unfortunately, it fails. And I say unfortunately because the Hyundai Azura that came before this car and was kind of in that same ethos actually passed. I was hoping the Cadenza would pass, but alas, my dreams were not realized. Then we have some really interesting luxury buttons. So we have the heated steering wheel, fantastic on a day like today, heated and ventilated seats. Really nice to see that. Fantastic features for a 2014 Kia. But then we also have our rear sunshade. These are all really, really nice to see, again, in a Kia product. It's like seeing caviar at McDonald's. Then we get a center console and the seats. As I mentioned, the seats are power, memory, heated, and ventilated. Everything that you want out of a modern, comfortable, luxury seat, this car will do. And that is very, very nice to see. However, speaking of seats, we do have back seats. So let's go do a back seat review. All right, so we're in the back of the 2014 Kia Cadenza, and it's nice. The K900 does have more room, which is nicer, but still nice to see. Knee room is good. Headroom is good. Nothing really too crazy there. We do have a center console, pop out cup holders as well. We have climate vents, but it's nice. I fit back here. I get to enjoy my own sunroof. Now, this one doesn't open, but the front one does. You have almost a sky roof. There's obviously a bar in the middle, but getting close, you know. I like it a lot. You know, we'll get on to the final thoughts and talk about how underrated this car is, but I like it. I like it. And I fit back here, 5'11", not a small guy. I've said it a million times, and I fit. And that's not always a given when it comes to sedans. Let's hop into the very back. We'll take a quick look at the trunk and cargo space, and then we'll talk about the looks. All right, around the back of the Cadenza, press and hold here on the key fob, and we do have a trunk popper. Once we do pop it up, we have plenty of space. This is a very good size sedan. I don't want to say full size sedan because then people think that it's going to be like the old 70s land yachts, but it is a very healthily hefty sedan. How about that? Love all of the trunk space that you get. We don't get any crazy amenities back here, but we don't need it. It is a Kia after all, and there we go. Now we gotta talk about the looks, and this is one of the downsides, in my opinion, of the Cadenza. Not necessarily that it looks bad, because it doesn't, but it doesn't look special. It doesn't look unique. It doesn't drop your jaw when someone picks you up in one. And I think that really, really hurt the Cadenza, not only in sales, but also in recognition. I was floored when I learned that the Cadenza was even sold up through 2020. And that will most certainly play into my final thoughts. So what are my final thoughts? Well, I really like this car. I really, really like the Cadenza. It is sort of that stealth wealth feeling. Not quite as stealth wealth as the Kia K900 that was sold above the Cadenza. The K900 was a very special car, didn't make it for very long. It had all these luxurious options and features, but sold under the Kia badge, which didn't make any sense here in the US. That is basically an S-Class in disguise for half the price. This isn't quite at that level, but it's getting up there. This is an incredibly nice car. You have the sweet power of the 3.3 V6. You have built-in navigation, which was still a big deal for the era. You have the heated and ventilated seats. You have the heated steering wheel. You have the rear sunshade. You have the sunroof. All of this together had really, really nice options that weren't standard or weren't synonymous with Kias of the era. But going back to that name, Cadenza, no one really knew what this thing was. And so they didn't sell all that well. People didn't know how nice they could have it if they just looked into the Cadenza. It didn't have any brand recognition, and so I think this is another one of those cases where it's a great car, it's a good car, well-functioning car, well-optioned and sorted car, but just couldn't get a foothold. It just couldn't shake the Kia badge. Even today, people tell me all the time, oh, Kias are crappy rental cars, which is untrue. But especially 11 years ago, they had an even worse stigma. You wouldn't buy a luxury car from Kia, but here, well, at least in 2014, you could. And so that's what gave you the Kia Cadenza. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Huge thank you to Andrew for letting me borrow his Cadenza for today's video. He has been absolutely wonderful to work with. We are also filming his Mitsubishi Diamante, whatever it is. I appreciate him fitting me into his busy schedule. He's been awesome, and I look forward to working with him again. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Don't forget to rate the video, comment on the video, and subscribe if you really liked it. Take care, guys.